Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen of all ages. My name is Benita G. Welcome to the Education Concierge Podcast. Welcome to season 9. I can't even believe I'm saying that. Like season 9. What happened? Where did the time go? I am on here today because the global Education Concierge. We have friends, we have educators, administrators all over the U.S., entrepreneurs, edupreneurs, people who are just inundated in the education ecosystem, helping people manage and navigate, whether it's the parents, whether it's teachers, educators, institutions, and community organizations. So we have an amazing woman who I've known for a couple of years now that I think about it. I've known for a couple of years. I met overseas in the UAE. She is still there managing and maintaining in the education field, ensuring that all students have access. We're going to jump into this. You know how we do. We're going to welcome her into the family. And then we're going to talk about how we dismantle, disrupt, and reimagine education. Let's go.
Hey,
How are you today?
I am doing amazing, thankfully. Wow, look at you. Lovely to see you. It's been forever.
So, well, you may not think you know, you've been around long enough. My name is Benita G, everybody. Hey. And I'm a good old Southern girl. Yes, I'm from Virginia. I know why y'all keep saying the South. Virginia's not the South. But my dad's from Georgia. And when you come to somebody's house in the South, I can only speak for Black Americans because I've only been a Black American all my life. When you come to our house, you take your shoes off at the door, you go down the hall and you wash your hands in the bathroom because we're going to fix your plate because you're our guest. And we're going to fix your big old plate of some soul food. And a little healthy because, new generation, we do a little healthier. And we're going to fix you a big glass of cold iced tea that is sweet because unsweetened tea is blasphemy and we just don't understand who serves unsweetened tea. Well, cold unsweetened tea. And so you are now part of the family. Please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, thank you for having me. My name is Sania Green-Reynolds, and I can confidently say I'm an international educator. Um, I've been in education for over 17 years now. I'm not that old, disclaimer. Um, and basically, I have been teaching. I've literally been from teaching from K. No, I haven't done K, from grades 2 to 13, and actually stepped into higher education last week in terms of a little bit of online adjunct instruction. And pretty much I am just very passionate about education and my role as an educator in supporting the future, our future, in terms of ensuring that they get the skills and just the disposition, they develop the disposition needed to function, and not just function, but thrive in this our world. That's my passion. And I'm also an author. I write children's books. I also started off by writing books for adults, and then I realized that, there's a little gap there for children's book when it comes on to representation in children's literature. And so I am working in that field as well. And what is it that I don't do? I don't know. I'm an AI enthusiast. I love education. I'm an educational leader. Give you more as we go on.
So, and you notice she is an educator, an author, and a literacy advocate. So that's one of the things we always speak about. But she is literally international, literally, and I love it. She's on LinkedIn. She's one of my LinkedIn sisters. I can always count on her to post something and be like, "Let me read. Let me dig into this. What is she asking me to do? What is she making me think about?" And how can I just implement this into my daily thought, my daily dismantling the education? So I love it, especially the one we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about. So, kind of give us the background. First of all, how did you get in the UAE? Where are you from? How did you get into education? Were you one of those students, children when you were little that you played with the dolls and you taught the dolls and the dogs and the cats and whoever was in the house? Did you make them sit down and teach them ABCs, one, two, threes? Or did you kind of fall into education or were you just kind of guided?
See my grandmother. I grew up with my grandmother. I'm Jamaican, by the way. I grew up with my grandmother going to church and her being a Sunday school teacher. And of course, I was one of those honors. I went to Baptist church. So I was one of those honors students. We had to do our examination, Bible examinations, even at church. The, I think around about 10 or so, I got drafted into teaching Sunday school as well because of my brilliance, quote unquote. And so that's where my first little stint of teaching, came in. But as I went on, obviously, I would have to support like my cousins and so on because I was just, I would say, naturally gifted when it comes on to learning. I always say that people could pay me to learn. I'd be happy to be paid to learn. When I went to high school, I swore to God that I would never, ever become a teacher because I was a teacher's nightmare. I was so disruptive. I was so, I don't know, I was one of those tough students to deal with. And so I swore that I wouldn't become a teacher. But by the time I ended high school, I got drafted into a teaching slash coaching role where I was asked to come and work with the students who were going to enter into high school, grade seven. And so because English language arts was the strongest area for me, even though I was always an all rounder, I stood out more in English language arts. And so I was asked to come and work with those students. And so that was my first paid teaching role. Exciting. I was young. I made that amount of money in one summer doing something that I swear to God that I would never ever do. Okay, that was exciting. But even so, I still wanted to become a police officer. I saw myself being a detective. I love to inquire. I'm an inquirer. And so that's what I really wanted to do. Finances aside, that was kind of a little bit more easy on the pocket for me. So that's what I was looking into. But, life happened and that didn't go the way I wanted it to go. And so I ended up in teachers college a few years after. And ever since, I have been teaching. I tried diverting, getting out of it. I was like, I want to go to university. I want to do project management. I literally could have done anything else, if I could have afforded it. But I feel like teaching just grabbed me and decided that it's not going to let go of me. I'm going to have to deal with it because it wants me to stay. And here I am.
I love how you were like, you grabbed me. I don't think I've ever had a guest who said that they wanted to be a detective. I went to school as a nursing major, so completely understand how you. And I was also a person that's like, I am not going to be a teacher because they do not make enough money. And here I am, several years later, still here.
When I tell you I was my teacher's worst nightmare, and then kid you, like I was difficult to deal with. I had a lot of issues, I had a lot of psycho emotional issues going on. And back then, I'm gonna say back then, like there wasn't this great emphasis on, social emotional learning. But I knew I had issues and it was difficult. It was tough for me. I myself didn't know myself. So
I love how you're able to reflect. Now, here's my question because this happens to me every year. Did you ever have a student that you looked at and was like, "This, why, Lord, why did you send me?"
for me, to be honest with you, I have grown to really appreciate, my journey, what I've gone through, because now I'm one of those advocates where I'll go into a space and the first thing I'll say is when I hear people labeling kids and, speaking ill, I'll just ask them never to, label a child like that. You can describe the behavior, you can describe um, the situation. Tell us about the situation and just avoid labeling the child because those labels stick. So for me, I can relate to students who are giving a hard time because that was me. And, a lot of people gave up on me, but at one point it was what my teacher, she was also the vice principal. We keep close contact to this day. And she was one of those people who never gave up on me. Like she tried her hardest. literally, she also was labeled by other people saying that she protects bad children, you know what I mean? So for me, I want to be that person who see beyond that facade that a student is putting up. I want to be that person who can just peel back a few layers and say, hey, something's wrong here. And even if she's not going to tell us what it is, let's be that space for her to, for him to feel a little bit decompressed and at least get some learning in. So
I like that because I noticed that. I noticed when my mom was teaching back, way back in the day, she would come home and she'd say, you know, they gave me the most challenging class again this year. She said, but we're going to show them what we can do. And every year she would have a group of students who were challenging in different areas. And like you said, some of it was some social, emotional, at times psychological things we had not even begun to address in the public school.
induction, every child really do need a champion, you know what I mean? Like we all need that one person who's gonna be there for us, who's gonna push us, who's gonna gun for us, who's gonna say, hey, I believe in that person. I believe in Benita. I believe in Sania. She has it. She can do it. She has the skills. She just needs some patience. And I feel like at some point we have to, if we are really invested in educating our future leaders, we have to get to that place where we can champion children's right to education, to learning, just being given the opportunity to get the skills that they need to survive. You know what I mean?
Okay, so now this is where you come in and you tell us what you do now to dismantle or disrupt, and how do you reimagine education in what you do now? And then we're gonna move to the future, but let's talk about what you do now.
So one of my biggest thing is I strongly believe in the abolition of outdated educational practices. There's so many little practices that we as educators, we need to let go of, and we need to just look at what fits the context in which we are working. And for me, as I have moved from teaching to middle leadership to a little bit of senior leadership. And one of the things that I look for and what I support teachers in doing is really letting go of and stepping back from those more traditional ways of teaching and learning, giving students, the space and time to think about what they are learning is super important. Not shaming students in class is super important. Not putting students in those boxes and restrictions. Because you feel like a student is a weak student in math doesn't mean that a student is weak right across the board. Those are the labels that we're talking about. And so that's super, super important for me. And the next big thing as a literacy advocate for me is ensuring that our children, especially Black and Brown children, are able to see themselves in the text that they're reading. Our curriculum need to be decolonized. It's no secret. We know that. A lot of these curriculum, they're designed with superiority and dominance of one particular kind of people. And we need to carefully look and see how is it that this is really affecting the reading, the literacy rate of our children. How is it really affecting how they feel about reading, for example? I strongly believe that literacy also is not just, okay, you go to English class and you learn about reading, writing, and that's it. So literacy right across the curriculum, that's another thing. And making sure that the students are able to access that literacy reading and the material that you're using in that curriculum is super important.
Yeah, I love that because that is people who know me, those y'all who taught with me, they knew like I would get that tested list every year from our district or department chair, and I go, hey, We not reading none of this. None of these books have a brown person in here at all, and all my kids are brown. And I don't think like literally, I don't all every student, and middle school you teach 5, 6, or 7 classes depending on the type of school, over 100 students, and every book you assign to me, the main character is a white male or white female. And my students are reluctant and struggling readers, and so it is important for me to give them something that will make them something a little bit want to read. And so I would have to, yes, I would have to search. I would have to borrow, beg, steal, buy, get. And luckily, thank you, all of my department chairs, all of my literacy coaches that have ever been my literacy coaches. I've been able to give them a list, and and I would give them the objectives and the skills that matched one we already had, and they would find these books for me, and they would never question.
I really love that. At least it shows some flexibility, because there are people who are like tunnel vision. This is what it is, and we don't care about those kids who never ever see themselves presented in a text and represented in a positive way in a text. Good for them. This is what it is. That's how a lot of systems are designed, and that's really to students' disadvantage. And we need to have more people like yourselves and more people like the people you've worked with to really be conscionable and look at these things, make conscious and intentional decisions to make sure that these students fall in love with reading. Because if they don't, literally, they're going to struggle everywhere else. You know what I mean?
And so the controversy here is, how how do we circumnavigate? How do we team up with the parents and get it in the homes? Can we get it in the churches? I'm about to be like, I'm about to rent out the back room in the library. What do we need to continue to do as human beings and as people who in education, who believe and understand diversity literally is essential to the makeup of our nation, or nations, really, moving forward? Because diversity is everywhere. America is not just diversity. Like, diversity is everywhere, every continent. Look, it looks different, but diversity is needed. And how do we? Because Lord, I'm so tired. They say something over. You know how your mom used to pop you in your mouth and say, "That's how I feel like every morning when I wake up. I want somebody in there."
It's hard. It's hard. You know what? I'm going to tell you a little story. The books that I wrote, the children's books, they came about because I literally was in a space as a teacher and I had Black and brown children in front of me. You know that in the UAE, kids are not necessarily white children. But that's a whole nother story. Everything, all the books, all the stories, everything that presented themselves, there were never any form of representation of those kind of kids, the kids that look a little bit like me. Because, of course, within this region, you have a lot of mix as well. There's a whole melting pot of cultures. And I was literally working in an IB school. So the situation really should have been much better than that. And what I decided to do was to ensure that I solved that problem. And that's how I came up with those books. Yeah. So what I did was I decided that, hey, I'm going to be the person who solves this issue. And so when I created and designed these books, I designed them with the whole diversity in mind. Like we need children to be able to see themselves and others portrayed in books in positive lights and their families as well. So you know that, hey, these people are human beings too. They have families that look like you.
Yes.
And just because they're different, they look a little bit different, doesn't mean that they are not human beings or they don't deserve to be treated kindly. and they'll have different kinds of friends as well. And so I made sure that I portrayed all of these in these books. People from different cultures, different backgrounds, different friend groups. Uh, and so the point that I'm bringing up here is if you want to see things change, you are going to have to be part of the solution to the issue. And so, as you mentioned, going into churches, right now I'm looking for spaces where I can host children reading more in the community because this is a serious issue where we are competing now with all the likes of social media and just technology and the influencers and everyone. And so you have children consuming a lot more fiction, and not fiction that's going to really enhance their imagination per se, but controversy and just madness, adding on to anxiety and stress and whatnot. But the whole point is we are going to have to continue to write as educators. It is our duty to tell our stories as well. We need to encourage parents to tell their stories. We need to encourage children as well to tell their stories. They can do a lot of things, but they can't really stop you from using your geniusness and doing what you can do. You are, as educators, we educate, and we're going to always find a way to educate. If that means that we're going to have open libraries, we're going to write our books and just publish them online and just create all sorts of forums and micro schools like you lead and stuff like that. We are going to do it. We're going to find a way. It's up to us to make sure that our stories are never erased. So I'm going to leave that on us. They'll try, but I'm sure that we, as usual, will continue to overcome.
Thank you. I love that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because the issue for me, I was there, I was in that particular institution for 4 years, and all the people that looked like me was cleaning the toilets. In this country, that's what you have. Even in the malls, you go to the malls, you have people stationed there to clean. And sometimes these people look like me because they're from the continent of Africa. But the thing is, what was very interesting is how the students approach you initially when they just meet you, because as a Black person, you are a Black person, and they have this idea about Black people in their mind, and this is the only little knowledge that they have in their little bubble of perfection. This is all they've been really exposed to. And some of them who've been online, they too have probably seen gang related stuff or lewd related stuff. And those are their only small pockets of association that they can make. So imagine me now coming as a teacher or a leader in front of them in an authoritative way. It's like they're confused because they don't even know that, like, in their world, you're the cleaner. Who are you to talk to them? It's not even like in our experience where you're supposed to show respect to everyone, no matter what they're doing. And so I really had to write these books. It's A to Z collection. And so I'm working my way through it. But I'm definitely going to be doing more stuff like this. And it's not just from that perspective that I've written the books as well. They're very educational. I also saw gaps as a middle high school English teacher that I could address within a primary setting as well. So I really sorted that. So it's really like a few issues that I said, you know what, let me solve these problems.
That I just heard that today in a podcast. She's saying you are the champion that people are looking for. We are. I love it. I'm going to showcase your books. I'm going to get some more pictures. I want you to send them to me some more so we can put them when we post this. So people can purchase them and schools can purchase them. Community organizations in the States and abroad are always looking to purchase some books. And so definitely we're going to do that. All right, we're going to move from controversial corner. That was good. I love how you kept us calm but very understanding. Look, this is what we need to do. And this is how we're going to do it, just so you. I'll be like, you're like, no. So we're going to get these books. Pay attention to these things. You are so right. I remember my first week teaching. I don't know how many times I had to say, I am Black American. And they would go, this bubble. And they only had one understanding because that's all they had been exposed to. And so you're right, as you're the principal and you're an administrative duty, they're looking at you like, I'm so confused because how was she, who's she talking to? Like my American kids be like, who's she talking to? You're like, she's talking to you, baby, okay? All right, I love that. Okay, so we're going to keep going. We have dismantled, we have disrupted, we have done controversial corner. Now we're going to play a game. I love this game. It is a game from back in the day. It's actually a rap song back in the days. You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this. I can't say the whole thing. I don't want to be shadow banned. I don't want any money. Don't sue.
Okay.
Yes. And so what we do is I give you a series of questions. Now, here's a disclaimer. We are both educators, so we know that sometimes it's difficult for us to decide. If it's difficult for you to decide, you can do both. It's no problem.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like you're gonna put me in that spot where I'm gonna have to be like both. This because that.
And we do everyone. I've only had a couple of people who were not an educator, but they were in the ed tech, and they were like blah 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 blah. But those of us who were educators, like no both, because it depends on the student. Like we, that's what we do. All right, here we go. Traditional classroom or hybrid learning hub?
Hybrid.
Standardized test or portfolio?
Come on, where are we? Abolish textbooks. Abolish. I don't even know what comes next. Abolish.
Well, it's TikTok tutorials.
Well, as long as it's not on TikTok itself, but the style of it, yeah, because we already know that, hey, and guess what? I have, I love books, but let's be real.
But yeah, books, not textbooks. I got you. Yes, love it.
Yeah.
Okay. STEM or STEAM?
Of course, I'm going to choose STEAM because STEAM is STEM with arts in it. So come on.
Behavior charts or restorative circle?
Restorative circles for sure.
Mentorship or coaching?
It's going to be hard because they're two different things. They're both necessary and important. So I'm going to stick with both.
Global projects or local impact?
Well, I'd love to have global projects that make a local impact. So I can have it all, you know?
Yes. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
God, I hope I'm trying to be a morning person, but God knows I'm a night owl. My best ideas come at night. I'm more energetic at night. I don't know why, but this is what it is. Dear God, help me.
And that's okay. I'm reading this book called Radical Candor. Radical Candor. And they actually say embrace whichever one you are. It's okay. And I was like, I'm a morning person. Because at 10:30 I'm going to bed. Thank you. Good night. Okay, would you rather have audiobooks or listen to podcasts?
Audiobooks. Sorry, I listen to podcasts every now and then, but audiobooks for the win.
Love it. This is the last one. Would you rather wear sweats and sneakers or blazers and loafers?
Blazers and loafers. To be honest with you, I'd rather wear blazers and slippers, something that doesn't compress my feet. So I'm not a sneakers or loafers kind of person, to be honest.
Thank you so much for playing. I appreciate that. This is something for us to love and laugh and then get to know our podcast guests who are now family. Our last couple of things is one, I want you to do a call to action. A call to action is what is something that as a group of people we can do now to reimagine education? And then I want you to tell us how we can get in contact with you to order your books, to hire you to come do our professional development, to hire you to come work at our school, whatever you need us, whatever you need. How can we contact you to do that?
All right. So basically, one of the things that I truly believe right now, I know we haven't touched on this yet, is we have to talk about what's going on right now when it comes on to artificial intelligence, AI, not AI. We have to talk about that and the massive impact the massive impact that that has on our learners and the potential that it has, Of course, it's super important wherever we are in the world to get to that place where we're moving away from teacher-centered learning to student-centered and not just differentiation, but personalization. So one of the things if we really want to take ourselves serious, is I'm going to ask all educators, wherever you are in the world, to give yourself the opportunity to upskill with AI. It's not as difficult or as scary as many might make it seem. It is pretty much straightforward. And if you want to give your students the edge when it comes on to personalization, I would say this is your moment to get upskilled right now so that you can use this technology to your advantage and more so to your students' benefits. Is incredibly helpful when it comes on to planning personalized lessons for your children, when it comes on to taking literacy to the next level for especially other speakers of children who are speaking English or using English as a second language or learning English as an additional language. This is like simple but effective a tool that you can use to uplevel your teaching game and also ensure that students get the support that they need right across the board, and doesn't even have to be on paid account when it comes on to a lot of these AI tools. I use ChatGPT every day. I use Claude every now and then. I use Copilot all the time. I haven't paid for any services. I mean, I have incredible language skills, so probably that makes a big difference. But basically, what I'm talking about doesn't have to cost you any membership or anything. But if you get to that place where you can literally upskill yourself, learn to be a prompter, learn how to leverage these tools, your students are going to benefit as well. So my call to action is to really call on educators everywhere. I know that you might be like, something new again. Just the other day, it was culturally relevant teaching, and now it's this, it was social emotional learning, and now it's. Yes, there's always going to be something. We live and we grow and we learn and we apply and we go back to the table and we have to reapply and reassess. But right now, especially as a literacy advocate, it is super important that we get to that place where we're like, hey, if we really want to help children to read and write or learn how to apply, you know, their critical thinking skills when it comes on to not just literacy per se, but digital literacy, cultural literacy, financial, then this is absolutely a tool that you should be using to really see how best you can implement these kind of different skills across curriculum so that students can really access them. So that's my big call to action today.
I'm glad thank you. And I'm glad you addressed that part with educators. Now, tell us, how can we get in contact with you? And hold on. Hey, y'all. We are about to end. So just like the little country girl that I am who went to church at Little Shallow Baptist Church on Ogden Road in Jerry, Virginia, 757-804, shout out to you. You were our guest pastor. Thank you for coming. The doors of the church are open. And what I'm requesting of you is to give us some encouragement for the rest of the week. So you're going to tell us, how can we connect with you on social media? And then I want you to end with encouraging us to continue on for the rest of the week. And then we're going to be closing out.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So my first go-to place is gonna be connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I am most active. That's the name I go by on LinkedIn, Sania Green-Reynolds. That's me. You can always send me a message, or you can message me at Sania Green. What's it? At I think I shared my email with you. Yes, okay, we'll share those in the notes. But you could definitely reach out on LinkedIn. I have my company page on there as well, Lit Education and Publishing. You can get information on how to get your books, and you can also get more information about how you can work with me on my LinkedIn. Encouragement for the week. Lord, I want y'all to know that, it doesn't matter what you're going through, good times, bad times, all things work together for good, to them who love God. And I strongly believe that wherever you are, it's very important that you bloom where you're planted, whether it's for a few minutes, whether it's for a few weeks, a few months. I've been in situations where it wasn't long, but my impact was felt, and my impact is still being felt. So I want to encourage you. We live in a very small world. And we say that sometimes when we meet people who know people, we're like, small world. Yeah, it's a small world. So it's super important that you lead with that knowing that it's a small world, and what you do will come back to you tenfold sometimes. So it's super important that you lead from a place of love and kindness, empathy, and just give grace as well.
I love that.
Make
Thank you so
others
much.
lead.
You are now family, so the next time you come, you got to fix your own plate. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you grab your pen and pencil. If not, go back and listen to this again and your notebook, and go ahead and grab your favorite beverage, whether it's a Mountain Dew or some high C juice, I don't care, or some cold water. Listen to this again, and the way you support us is you share, you support, you subscribe, and then we want you to leave a great review, but also connect with us on LinkedIn, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.
It was so great being here. Thank you.
You're so welcome.